The first rule in grip sport is you tell everyone about grip sport.
Crushing, pinch grip, thick bar, wrists.
If the best guy in the world can't lift 100 pounds on it, I don't give a shit about it.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Grip Show. We have a recap episode going down today. So with me from California, I have Will Guiliani and Travis Weinand, and they're going to give us a breakdown of kind of their recent competition. And Will, this was you hosting this basically West Coast Arm Sports, right? That's your thing, right?
West Coast Arm Sports presents the Gobbler Grip Gauntlet at the training hall.
Okay, so this was like a Thanksgiving themed kind of thing, right?
It was the end of October, and I realized it's been like over a full year since I pulled an axle in competition, and I was really itching to do so. So I just made a comp 3 weeks out and set it up together. Called it a warm-up comp for California's Strongest Hands. It's almost the same implements. California's Strongest Hands will have the silver bullet and no 2x5. So that's the difference. So it's sort of a warm-up. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and it was just sort of a last-minute thing. We got 14 lifters to come in and participate. We had a couple of rookies that had a good showing. But yeah, and Travis had a good performance. Travis did the art. I don't know if everybody saw online.
I was gonna mention that. Yeah, I was gonna bring that
up. Gobbler himself, the axle deadlift bar.
The beefy turkey.
So how did you? I guess I don't know what the term would be art wise. How did you like draw it up or whatever?
Oh, this was super easy because I just used AI art and then did all anything that didn't look good, because sometimes AI stuff is a little unreliable. I just brought it into Photoshop and tweaked it and drew some extra stuff, calibrated it a bit.
Okay, gotcha.
And added the text and everything. Easy to do.
But yeah, I think that's one thing too that's like pretty cool for a competition is I don't want to say, kind of draws people in, but the whole thing just does, you know what I mean? The presentation. So like just the artwork alone is like when you have kind of like a theme or a name, and then you kind of have the artwork match it. I think that gets people interested. I mean, at like the most basic level, before we're even talking about what events are there going to be or who's hosting, it's kind of like, if it just kind of looks cool out the gate, I think that attracts people a little bit as well. So yeah,
the feedback has been really positive for the turkey. I'm
a big fan. Is it too late to get a shirt, Will? Or...
No, so the shirts are available at westcoastarmsports.com.
Okay.
And then you click on the shop button. And just like you, how you can get the Grip Show shirt, so you have a spread shop.
Yeah.
I also have a spread shop. I was inspired by you. So you can get yourself a Gobbler shirt, or you can get a shirt with the West Coast Arm Sports logo on it as well.
Okay. I might have to snag one of those, especially with the turkey on it. So but yeah, man, so you had 14 lifters show up. Obviously some were household names, some were newer lifters like you mentioned. And just trying to think through, did you have anybody travel, or was it mostly people that were local?
It was all local folks to the the Southern California, LA metropolis area.
And then for that, did you have a certain way that you wanted to address it? Maybe go by weight class, or did you just want to do the overall, or how did you kind of want to start off with breaking down the lifters, or did you just want to kind of give an overview of how the comp went even before we get into those details?
Well, yeah, let's go down with the events where we had a Rolling Thunder.
Yeah.
4 attempts for a Rolling Thunder, 4 attempts for a Iron Mind axle, 4 attempts for a 2x5. And then we went from the 2x5 to the 3x4 Saxon. So we got both Saxon varieties in there. I was excited to get a pull on the 2x5 because I've messed around with it before at the training hall one time, and I discovered, hey, my pitch isn't garbage. I'm just only good at narrow pinches. So I was excited to get a lift in there. So I put that in there as well. But yeah, so we can go down by the overall, and when Ode shows up, he typically wins. So we had Ode
All right.
398.79 out of a possible 400 points. He lost some points on the axle. He lost by 2.5 kilos because he took a jump from 180 to 200 kilograms.
Wow. Okay. So he took about a 44-pound jump.
Yeah, and he got it up, but it just slipped out at the last minute there. He hit a 105 on the Rolling Thunder, which is, fantastic. He hit 120 on the 2x5, and he also hit 120 on the 3x4, which is our first record of note. That is a 120 kilogram plus Grip Sport International Saxon bar world record.
Yeah. And what I know we didn't talk about it with the pounds, but what's that, like 260 something?
Let's see, 120. It's 264.55.
Yeah. Okay. And it's the same as the weight class. Yeah, 120. So okay. That makes sense. Yeah. So, and who was second on that list? Do you know?
So Jacob Tolentino was second. Oh no, on the Saxon bar list. That was
we could roll with either one.
Oh yeah, no. So he Ode beat Jed Johnson by like a kilo or something, a fraction of a kilo.
Gotcha.
I believe. And then second in the contest overall is our powerlifter Jacob Tolentino. We had one of those doctor scales for Weinand, the one with the slidey deals, and he maxed it out, so he had to get on a different scale. 159.2 is what he ended up weighing in at.
Okay, yeah.
He is a big boy, and he did a really good Rolling Thunder. He had 92.5 on the Rolling Thunder, and then as mentioned before, the 182.5 on the axle, and then 192.5 on the 3x4 and the 2x5 respectively. He had a really good time. I think this was his second time with West Coast Arm Sports. I believe he did King Kong just before this, and he hit a really, really good number on the Iron Mine pinch block.
Yeah, so he seems like a guy that I would say has potential, but it looks like he's already pulling up some pretty big stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Hopefully you could keep him in the mix with everybody, and I don't know, maybe he can kind of become one of the staple lifters out there, because I know you guys have a pretty solid crew that kind of trains together and pushes each other and stuff like that.
Travis goes to the training hall way more often than I do to train a grip and to train strongman too. He's got a strongman contest coming up December 9th, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll be training for a strongman competition, and there's a California Strongest Hands that you're hosting as well?
It's the day after the strongman comp.
Okay, so you're going back to back. How do you feel about that?
It should be fine. Be a little tired, but it's all right. It'll be fun.
What are these strongman events? You don't mind me asking. Just, I know we're sidetracking a little bit, but I want to know what you're doing the day before you have to do a grip competition. Like, is there like a farmer's walk or something crazy that's going to burn you out, or is it?
I'll be doing farmers with 225 per hand for 90 feet, a yoke walk with 500 for 90 feet, 200-pound Viking press for reps, some kind of loading event with I think stone, a keg, and maybe a sandbag, and then a deadlift ladder with this big log that like each anchor point that you go back makes it heavier and heavier. And I forget what they say the final pull is, because it's so hard to tell with that kind of stuff, but it's like a 600 something pound pull for reps at the very last rung of the ladder. So it's going to be,
so you got a pretty heavy day. And then turning around and hitting the grip stuff. But I just was curious of those events. So like we're talking about Jacob being in second place there, and you said coming from a powerlifting background.
Yes.
So obviously, used to moving weights around. If we drop down, man, is it Ben Galper's in third overall?
Yeah, he got
Second?
third overall. It was
Yeah.
heavyweight, and then Ben Galper at
Okay.
162 pounds he weighed in at.
Well, I was going to say, it's interesting here that we have the overall, and you have Ben Galper and Will Reed in third and fourth, and both 162 and 173 pounds. So you kind of had some lightweight guys jump up in there. So
yeah, William Reed just had some Herculean pinches. Both of them were just fantastic pinches.
Yeah, I've been seeing some of his Saxon lifts. I know, especially on the 3-inch.
Mm-hmm.
He was working the 3-inch for a really long time, and I saw a lot of those, and he was pulling really awesome numbers. And then I think he started to try to lift a little bit more on the 2-inch as of recently. And I don't know how happy he is with all the numbers, but yeah, from what I've seen, it looks like it's been really good.
I mean,
on both.
If you look, so Ode had the same across both. Jacob was within 10 kilos, so it was like 8.5 or 7.5 kilos.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Galper was within 3 kilos of each other. William Reed was within a couple of kilos as well between those two pinches.
Yeah.
So it seems like if you're up at the top, you got to be good at both. You know, if you're gonna take those top spots. But yeah, Ben Galper hit 92.5 kilos on the Rolling Thunder and had a 175 kilo axle, which was just something to see.
I was gonna say, how much is that over? I mean, I know we have his body weight here at 162.
Mm-hmm.
That has to, I mean, that's well over
20 pounds over at least.
Yeah. I was going to say that's way over like double body weight for an axle, and just a wild lift, really. So yeah, it would have been cool.
Yeah, I actually did a calculation to determine, like, I added up everybody's max attempts. So, you know, your 4-lift total.
Yeah.
And then you divided it by everybody's body weight. And Ben Galper lifted 6.27 times his body weight during the competition. The next highest was William Reed at 5.5. But yeah, the average lifter was a 3.79 for that ratio. So like Ben was twice as good as our average lifter when it came to body weight to strength ratio.
And then also, I think it would be worth mentioning, obviously the competition presented by West Coast Armed Sports, but it would be worth noting that it was dual sanctioned.
Dual sanctioned.
So that is something else that I wanted to bring up. I kind of forgot in the beginning. But yeah, so with this being dual sanctioned, what you've done by doing that is you've allowed these lifters the opportunity to break world records or get their names in different leaderboards on both sides, whether that be with arm lifting or whether that's with grip sport. You're just giving the lifters more opportunity to kind of put their names on various leaderboards and kind of climb the ranks. So
that's true.
I think that's a good thing.
In doing so, we have unified 2 world records. Ben Galper has the 80 kilogram Armlifting USA world record, and the 74 kilogram GSI world record for the Iron Mind axle at 175 kilograms. And William,
be a tough one to beat.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I think he broke like a decades-long record. And then if you look at the William Reed's 3x4 Saxon, his 102.5 kilogram lift has now the Armlifting USA 80 kilogram and the GSI 83 kilogram world record. So those are also unified.
Okay. It's always good when you can get that lift done on the same day, because I've had lifts like in the Super Series that obviously wasn't dual sanctioned, and like, man, I pull my best Saxon lift in the Super Series, and then when I was at Nationals, I pull like a shitty lift on Saxon. You know what I mean? So it's like you look at some of the lists, they'll be like 20 pounds different or something, just because you had a good day or a bad day. So it's cool when it's dual sanctioned and you can get credit for that one lift on both sides, basically. So yeah, real good performances by those guys on. I mean, anytime you can hit a PR or climb up a list, but yeah, to sit at the top of the list, and especially amongst two organizations and all the past history of the lifters before you. Yeah, shout out to Ben and Will for securing those world records.
So you're next. You hit you got 5th overall. Do you want to talk about your performance on Sunday?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I totally shit the bed on the 2x5, but I knew that was going to happen going in because it's just I have such long fingers and I just cannot figure out that lift for me. There's no like comfortable position to be in where I'm just not only making contact with my fingertips. None of this touches anything on that lift. So it's painful and frustrating, but I'm going to keep working on it and try and figure out a way to make that work for me. But Rolling Thunder was good. I was hoping to get 92.5. That was kind of my goal for the day, but just ran out of gas after the 90, I guess. And then Axle felt really good. I had training leading up to it. I had almost locked out 168. So I was like, okay, hopefully in about a week when I pull this again, I'll be peaked and ready to actually get that heavier pull. And it went really smooth. Then the 3x4 kind of always ends up at 95 for me. I just can't seem to break that barrier right now. But hopefully if I start working on that more with the 2x5, then they'll both climb up a bit. Because I know pinch is my biggest weakness for sure for all this fun grip stuff. Anything big, fat handles, rotating handles, I'm all for that. But the pinch stuff is just my arch enemy.
Okay. And then with just speaking on the axle, because you pulled a really good axle lift. I know you've kind of been walking your axle up over time. Would you attribute some of your full body training to that? Because I know you've done like, just from what I've seen, you'll be working like big compound movements where you're like squatting heavy. You're doing a lot of other stuff outside of just typical grip stuff. You know what I mean? Like you're not only axle deadlifting. Do you feel like some of the strongman training and some of the squatting, some of the other heavy stuff you've done, do you feel like that's built your body strength up to where you've basically got your body to kind of catch up to your grip because of how strong your grip is on thick bar? Okay.
Yeah, because I feel like probably this time, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, my grip was definitely stronger than my deadlift was, like on a standard bar. But over the last few years, I've really pushed that stuff super hard. So, pulling a 370 something pound deadlift is just normal. That's not anything, that really is affecting me. So the axle part of it is the hard part, not necessarily the deadlift itself, where, a couple of years ago, a 385 pound deadlift was like my max. So the idea of pulling that near that on an axle was like, there's just no way, but now it's kind of everything's leveled up over the past couple of years. But yeah, heavy deadlifts, heavy squats, heavy press all the time. And
I think it's an interesting thing to point out. I was checking out the statistics, Travis's statistics from a few years ago yesterday as I was inputting numbers. And January of 2020, you maxed out with a 135 kilo axle at the All-American Armlifting Challenge at the LA Fit Expo.
That was my first contest.
Yeah. You've put a ton of weight on that bar since then.
Yeah, that's actually a frustrating lift for me, the axle overall, because having like my Rolling Thunder is my max. I think I hit 210 pounds maybe like 8 months ago, and on the Crusher I'm almost at like 220 pounds, and I can pick up the inch with both hands, but that's all like neutral grip kind of power. For some reason, when I turn that grip overhand, like I'd be like, I should have a 400-pound axle. Like in my mind, I'm like, when I walk up to it, I'm like, I should just be able to put 400 pounds on this and pick it up. But there's just something about the mechanics that overhand grip just totally changes the whole dynamic of the lift. But I think I'm slowly figuring out like how to unlock extra pounds between, every time I do it, I figure out something else in my setup, and it's going smoother. So I don't know if 400 will ever go, but I think I'll still be chipping away at it pretty regularly, hopefully.
I would say with time, you'd definitely be able to hit 400. I mean, you'll hit 400 and go beyond that if you want, just with time. But I definitely can relate to the neutral grip versus overhand.
Yeah.
Because I'll pull some really big like bells and stuff up off the ground, and mostly it's neutral. Not to say that I can't overhand. I can overhand some pretty heavy ones too. But yeah, that position from going neutral to the overhand in like that fixed position where you can't really rotate and it's just you're locked in. Yeah, I feel the same exact thing. So I totally get that one.
It's frustrating.
Then right below Travis was basically a copy paste of Travis. Another 6'3" rock climber, same, just, it reminded me of your first time out.
Yeah, he did. Mark did a really good job.
Mark Hills weighed in at 210. And it was this debut grip event. He had a decent start with the Rolling Thunder with 75. And then he hit 152.5 on the axle, but the pinches is where he shined. He hit 100 on the 2.5, and 98 on the 3x4. And I think really this kid is just getting started.
Those are awesome numbers. I mean, that's great numbers for somebody who's been lifting for a while, and if that's his first intro, obviously he's training grip in other capacities, with the climbing and stuff like that. But to show up and hit those numbers on Saxon, that would be somebody to keep him competing and keep him interested, and be interesting to see where he goes with some of those lifts, because that's a lot of potential.
So I did the awards based off of percentage-based score on the overall. So everybody's percentages was going against Odes, basically.
Mm-hmm.
However, if I had done it percentage-based scores by weight class, Mark would have beat Travis by 2 percentage points.
Okay.
But Travis came on top overall by 0.5 percentage points. So they were just couldn't have been closer. It couldn't have been closer. And then I think we're getting down to number 7, but I'd hate not to talk about myself today.
Tell us how the competition went, Will.
I had a weight PR. I weighed in at 234 pounds, a whopping 106 kilos. I should have probably tried to stay under 105 for record keeping purposes, but I was feeling hungry. And I hit a PR on every lift. I hit an 80 kilogram Rolling Thunder. My previous was 77.5. My axle, my previous was 152.5. I hit 153. I got 155 up to my knees, and then like Rob Kearney, I started hitching it up.
Mm-hmm.
And then Ode was like, "Oh no, you do that." And I was like, "I know, Ode, I'm just having fun." And then I hit 100 kilos on the 2x5 Saxon bar, which was, I think, really fun for me because I never imagined hitting 100 kilos on a pinch implement before, because before this year no one had ever heard of a 2x5 Saxon bar, at least I hadn't. So I was only like suffering with the 3x4. I could, was just for 4 or 5 years showing up to contests not being able to break 75 kilos. But if I walk into the training hall and pick up 80 kilos, I can do it. But the Saxon bars are always at the end of the competition, so I'm already tuckered out and I can never get 80. I got 80 the last time. So I went for a 1 kilo PR and I hit 81 kilos this time for the 3x4.
So that's PR in every event for you?
That's a PR on every event. Some of them were just, pennyweight PRs. but some of them were good. Any PR is a good PR.
I was gonna say, yeah. Anytime you've lifted the most weight you've ever done on something, you have to just you can't get too greedy. You just got to take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's especially nice when you do it in a competition because, like, then you know that, hey, everything I did leading up to today worked. Even if it was just a little bit, it worked like just enough to get me that extra, 1 pound or 2 pounds or whatever.
And especially if you can string all 4 together, where it's like, okay, not only am I setting a PR, but like you basically had a sweep of PRs. So
yeah, I tried. I think I went for 85. Yeah, I went for 85 on the 3x4, and I got it up to the shins, but it wasn't where we were going higher than that. And that's the top 7. I think that as far as the weight classes, they went, in that order that I mentioned before. Ode for heavyweights, Ode, Jacob, and then Matt Arbogast. For the middleweights, Mark, Travis, and then myself. And then the lightweights, we had Ben Galper, William Reed, and Mike Gonzalez. He is a good lifter. He's new to grip as well, but I think he placed well in the Super Series. I think he would have done really well in King Kong, but I think he zeroed. I think he zeroed something. I think he just was like, oh, this one. I think it was a finish ball. I think he was like took a big jump on it or something, and just ended up with like 12 kilos or something on it, which might as well just zero it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that sort of wraps up the men. We had one woman compete. Her name was Jarvina Rout. This was her debut in grip. She is a well-decorated Highland Games athlete, and she competes in grip in the 80 plus or 84 plus kilo. I think she weighs just like under 90 kilos. And she had a good day. She was electrifying to watch. You could really tell that she was enjoying herself, and that rubbed off on everybody else. She's going to be coming back out for California Strongest Hands, and I'd love to see some more women get out there and challenge her and push her a bit, because I think she played it a little bit safe. I think she failed. I think she had more room on the axle, because her first couple attempts were conventional, and then when she went sumo on her final attempt at a 110, just flew up, and she was like, oh man, I got way more.
Yeah, and she's got nice big hands too, long fingers. Yeah.
So I am about 7 3/4 or whatever. Nothing special. Every finger of hers is at least a whole nother section of fingers longer than mine. Like her hands are at least 8.5 inches.
Yeah, she was built for the thick bar stuff, I think.
And
I was gonna say that's
even wide this way too.
It definitely has the hands for it. And like you said, as long as she's pulling decent numbers already, it doesn't take long. And that's one of the things that you can't control. It really, is like hand size, So it's like anytime you have somebody that is showing that they're strong in these lifts, and then they already have that part of the equation as well, it's like just a bonus.
Yeah. So I just wanted to go over one more time all the world records that we accomplished here at the Gobbler.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Grip Gauntlet. Ben Galper, an 80 kilogram world record on the Rolling Thunder with 92.5. He also hit on the Axle 175, which is the unifying record for the 80s and the 74s. And then he has another world record for grip sport on the 2x5 Saxon with 95 kilos. Now, grip sport doesn't track the Rolling Thunder, and Armlifting USA doesn't track the 2x5. So those I guess records are just ghosts. And then William Reed had the world record, unifying world record with the 3x4 with 102.5, And then again, Ode Haugen with 120 kilogram 3x4 Saxon, which is a grip sport world record. So we had a lot of shakeups to the both leaderboards, and that's just how we do it out west. So if you want to shake up the leaderboards, come lift with us. It'll be a good time.
No, you guys got a good solid crew of some strong lifters, and I think the more you host, personally, the more you keep hosting and dual sanctioning, I just think that it'll keep growing and probably, probably keep building up more and more. And like Travis doing like the strongman competitions and other training on the side, like there's just so much out there that you guys are doing. It's not just, we're talking about grip. That's kind of the main point of it, but there's so much other strength training going on between the strongman stuff, powerlifting, like you mentioned, you had some powerlifters there. I think just the strength culture in general out there is a good like recruiting area for more grip strength people for you guys to train with, because I don't know, it seems like every contest or two you guys host out there, some new person showing up and they're freakishly strong, and then like a couple contests later, okay, here's this other person. It's like they just keep popping up.
So, we're in Los Angeles, baby. There's millions of people out here.
Yeah.
Well, the thing out here is we have all these climbers, man. There's just like, my wife and I go to our climbing gym to train 6 days a week, and there's just so many people there that I'm like, I wish that person would do grip. I wish this person would do grip. And then like when you finally convince one of them to come to one of these competitions, they do well. And it's like, yeah, because like if you can climb at like a V8, V9 bouldering level and above, some of the stuff is you're just gonna pinch 100 kilos on a Saxon bar and be like, okay, yeah, that's fine, because I'm hanging from things like this all the time. And
yeah,
even from like I used to do American Ninja Warrior for a long time, and I wish some of those guys would get involved in this stuff too, because like some of their grips is just, but a lot of those guys are really light, so there isn't really even weight classes for them. Some of them are like 130-pound guys who can just like jump up and grab a 2x4 and just like hang from it. And I'm like, yeah, I would die if I tried to do that. But like, I would assume that translation, they could probably move some big weight even on, for especially relative to their body weight. But I wouldn't be surprised some of the guys I knew that are 130 pounds could probably pull 100-kilo Saxon, just because it's just their pinch is so insane. So it'd be cool to get some of those guys involved, but it's, difficult to be like, hey, just come pick up these weird things with us, and they're like, oh, okay. But once they fall in love with it, that's the thing.
That's exactly what I do at I've been working out at Gold's Venice, the mecca of bodybuilding, for the past 6 or so months, and I've been just walking up to people and being like, you have large hands and forearms, come try this. And I'm like, you ever heard of the training hall? We got this guy, he's 74 and he's stronger than everybody. You should come check it out. I just try to lure.
That's actually a good point. Sometimes when I tell people about Ode, they are so interested in like what it is that he does and how he does it, and I'm like, you got to see it in person to believe it, because like he just doesn't make sense how this guy operates. He's so strong, it's crazy. Like it just I see him all the time, but every time I see him, he's pulling something that I'm like, I can't even fathom having that much weight on a Saxon bar. Like, unbelievable. And he's just got that calm intensity to him too. He like walks up to the bar real slow, and then he's just like, yeah, just like moves the earth with his pinch. And I'm like, all right, man.
His setups are so slow too. Like,
I know, I love it.
He uses like 45 seconds to just like get down to the bar. But he's gonna pull it up.
It works.
It's honestly been like a highlight of my life, is competing with him on a regular basis.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, it definitely would be cool. I've had a chance to watch him lift several times in person live, but like I've obviously never trained with him. It's just a different thing. So it'd be cool sometime to, if I ever get back out that way. I've only been to California one time. If I ever get out that way, I definitely would have to stop by and get some training in, but I'm about as far away. Like I said, I think I think all of us are about as far away as possible. I'm literally a hour and a half, 2 hours from the, ocean over here on the east, and then you guys are all the way over on the west. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah, we'll see. Maybe someday. But yeah, I'd like to live with Ode sometime. It'd be cool just to, like you guys said, just kind of see it in person and just actually train and talk a little bit more. Because in passing, maybe I've seen him at competitions and stuff, but everybody's so busy and doing so much stuff, you don't really get to talk, and you see a couple lifts, but you know what I mean? Everybody's shoveling through and whatever. But yeah, is there anything else you'd like to add, Will or Travis, about just the competition, the experience, maybe what you got coming up in the future? I know we hinted on some competitions and stuff like that would be coming up, but just anything else that you're offering, and yeah, just like I said, anything that comes to mind.
Yeah, well, I'll throw my website out there one more time, westcoastarmsports.com. You can check out all my upcoming contests. You can also look at all of my historical contests and go through the data if you'd like. This one that was on Sunday it's Monday today, already uploaded to the website. I like to get them up there snappy like. I have an upcoming contest December 10th at the training hall. This is another dual sanctioned event. It's a Silver Bullet, Rolling Thunder, Axle, and 3x4 Saxon bar. And then I think I probably won't host a competition in January. Right around my birthday and Ode's birthday will be the All-American Strength Classic at the LA Fit Expo. It's a big show. And I'll be competing there. I think Travis, you will as well.
Most likely, yeah.
So I think that'll take the January slot, but I'm looking forward to hosting, maybe 8 contests next year. So if any of your listeners want to come out to a West Coast Arm Sports contest, 2024 is going to be full of them.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, sounds good. And I think just keeping everything active is going to help build things too, because there's that consistency. Because once somebody does something one time, they know, oh, okay, I got this other thing to train for, or I have, there's a follow up to it. Whereas if you just host like 1 or 2 things a year, I think you lose a lot of people just because, they do that, like Travis was mentioning, you get them to come try this thing, and whether they like it or they don't like it, which usually they like the sport or they like trying it. But if it's like, oh, it's going to be another 7 months before that thing happens again, it's very easy to kind of fall out and just not really pay attention to it. But with you being active and kind of providing that platform for people to lift out there, I think that's going to start increasing the numbers of stronger lifters that we see, and kind of more crossover lifters that are coming in from other strength sports, which is really what the sport needs, I think, to get bigger and grow in general. But yeah, so just like I said, I'm not out there, but anybody that is out there, definitely look into some West Coast Arm Sports competitions. Like Will mentioned, they're sanctioned. So, I mean, it's not like you're doing it for nothing. It counts. It counts towards whatever. And leaderboards, different lifts. He's also tracking on your own site, you're tracking all the contests you've held, like in your own database. So
right, I have a couple of fun things. I track like points leaders. So like the points we accrued during this contest, they're running. So if you look at the website, you can see like under West Coast Arm Sports records, there's the all-time points leaders. So like Travis, for instance, is in second place all time for West Coast Arm Sports contests with 1,800. Oh, actually, I haven't added those ones in yet. So before Sunday, he had 1,807 points out of 2,200 possible points across 6 contests with 5 event wins. So these are the minutia details that you get when you compete at a West Coast Arm Sports event.
Yeah, no, you're definitely like above and beyond with the stats. So yeah, with that being said, man, I thank you guys for taking the time and just kind of doing a recap, just kind of giving us the rundown on some of the stuff that was lifted, some of the different lifters in their background. And like I said, I look forward to seeing what other competitions you host. And if you're hosting, regular competitions, then we can always jump on here with, whatever panel and recap them and just kind of keep people updated on what's going on out there. Cause I'm sure there's a lot of people that are probably interested in seeing some coverage on what they're doing, or just seeing people kind of break down their performance.
I'm going to try and put together a little video of, I had in my phone on the tripod recording all the events, and it died in the 2x5, but I got most of the 2x5. So I got 2.5 events. So I'll try and clip all that stuff into the juicy bits and throw it up on the YouTube page, and I'll throw it
like a highlight reel.
Yeah,
like a compilation or like a highlight reel of the
events,
yeah. But yeah, man. Anything else to wrap up?
I got nothing. I just want to thank you for giving the West Coast and the California lifters a place on your show. I appreciate the exposure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, man, for having me on today. It's great.
Oh yeah, no problem. Like I said, it's I tell people all the time, like whether it be arm lifting, whether it's grip sport, whether it's, I mean, I don't even care if there was somebody on here that had an unsanctioned contest and they had like 20 lifters at their place doing, these kind of lifts. It's like, I'd cover that. It's just, I'm covering anything grip sport or anything grip strength, anything that's related to, picking stuff up, lifting weights, really, it's just as simple as it is. So,
one of these days we gotta get you out to the training hall, and you can live cover an event with like a live stream and a little microphone and talk about all the lifts that are happening.
Now I don't know if I'd like be a broadcaster, but I could definitely like.
I wouldn't let you lift because you beat me, but
but I have like a Bluetooth mic set up that I could do like maybe like post comp interviews.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Hey, how'd you feel about your performance? Blah blah blah. Like,
yeah,
I could do some stuff like that. So that's been an idea of mine. I just haven't had a chance to do it because most of the time when we're at these competitions, everybody's like either so busy or the next flight of lifters is going, or it's so loud in the expo you can't even hear anything. And I'm like, I don't really want to, bug people right now. I just haven't had the right moment to do it, but there might be something like that coming in the future. But for right now, yeah, absolutely. The point I was originally making was that this is basically like a neutral resource for anything that's related to grip strength. So I'm not with a bunch of, I don't know, I'm not really taking sides on certain things or political, or I don't, of course I have my opinions on different things or lifts or whatever. We all do. But my biggest thing is just giving a platform to the people that I think are trying to improve the sport, improve the people in the sport and everything like that. And yeah, that's why, like I said, giving you a chance to just give us that rundown and let us know what happened.
Well, I was happy to do it. Thank you for having me.
All right. No problem. And like I said, if you guys are good, then I can go ahead and get ready to wrap this up.
We're good.